Vision boards matter.
Hey, daughters. Do vision boards matter?
Yes, they matter. Welcome to The Juggle is Real,
A mom and daughter show
Parenting and Mental Health,
for moms and teens.
episode.
18.
So, Sabrina, share the quote we have today.
Chance favors the prepared mind.
Chance favors the prepared mind is a quote from a famous chemist, Louis Pasteur. This is a quote that I've been sharing for several years that I came upon with one of my great mentors, Dr. Dan Siegel. And I shared it yesterday on a Vivid Vision workshop that I was so privileged in hosting at a studio. So if you are here in DC, in the DC area, there's a place called The Warehouse. I'm just putting a plug in that it was really awesome that I got to take them through somatic practices. So these people that were there, they got to get really clear on a vision of what they're forecasting for themselves 2025. Now, why do you think vision boards may or may not be important, Sabrina?
They're important because they set goals for everyone and they have something to look forward to. Yeah, that's what my mom's going to say if I don't pay it. They hold us accountable.
Yes, they do. I love how you said that.
I was
Yeah.
forecasting the future.
And why do you think that people may not think it's important?
Because they might think it's just like some silly goal.
So silly goal, or they may think it's like woo, right?
What is that?
Woo, what's woo?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What?
They might think it's like wishful thinking, perhaps, or
Oh.
maybe like it's not real in the sense that it's not scientifically based.
To have faith.
You have to have faith. Yeah. What? Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Oh, I love this. So, you guys, we are on YouTube. So, if you are listening to this where all the major podcasts are aired, which is where we are too, we are too.
we're not there yet.
We're on all the okay. Yeah, we're. She's like you're minimizing
But you
my
said that
future.
'cause we're there too. You were like basically saying that.
What?
I'm right.
Okay, but we are on YouTube where you get to see the power of really watching body posturing and how
Facial expression.
facial expressions and how it's just like how our energies harmonize or not, and how it just really supports communication. Welcome if you are new to the show. We today are talking about vision boards, and we are starting this new year with a 4-part series. And today we are going to break down into 5 different segments, and we're going to break down the vision boards into the very first part of what I encourage people to get really clear on, to create the vision on. So I am a life coach. I got my life coach certification through Mary Morrissey. My very first part of my certification, it's a life mastery consultant. And the very first part is a dream builder program. And the dream builder program takes you through these different steps. And what was so awesome about that, because I was at like this ripe age of my 40s that I got my life coaching. And it was after we actually started a podcast. So, from last week's episode, again, if you're new to the show, I talked about how Miss Christiana and her daughter Luna, they are really good friends of ours, how Miss Christiana and I started a podcast in 2018 called the Dream Board Social Club Podcast. And this podcast was about how to take what is very normal for adults, and that is we live habitually. So when we're in our 30s, our thoughts are on repeat and we begin to live life on autopilot. And we wanted to debunk the autopilot. For us, we didn't want to live that way. And we wanted to encourage moms and just other people who wanted to be intentional, conscious parenting, conscious living, of how to hold themselves accountable to creating a life by design and not a life by default. So, a life by default would be those thoughts that we constantly are just thinking over and over again. And if we think over and over again, we continue to repeat and create over and over the same things. And most of those things are just going to be in the same comfort zone. And sometimes in the same comfort zone doesn't serve our growth, right? And so, what was really interesting in this Vivid Vision workshop that I hosted yesterday is I had people start, Sabrina, in a visualization. And in the visualization, I took them to, they were in their 80s, okay? And I had them visualize what they had created, the legacy that they got to leave behind, right?
Mhm.
So I took them through the 4 pillars of life. What did they leave behind? What did they create in their relationships? What did they create in their career or in their passions and their vocation? What did they create in their time and their money? and what did they create, how they had felt in their well-being, their
Mhm.
holistic health, right? And at the end of that visualization, when I asked them what they visualized, I showed them an image of a woman. Yes, there were men there, but of a woman who was in her 80s and she looked happy. She was content, right? But then on the flip side, I asked them, or were they brave enough to actually visualize this? And it was a woman, an older woman in the 80s who was a bodybuilder. And I wasn't encouraging anybody to like, you need to be a bodybuilder to feel like complete and whole in your life. But the concept here, the intention here is to support people in like how much are you pushing the edges to your potential, right? And so this idea of like having these dreams, having goals is a way how we can use our thinking and take the energy of our thinking and bringing it into a higher potential, right? So when you think about, one of your goals again was to have grades that were what of its highest potential. And so you know how to start to allocate your resources for that.
I'm almost there.
You're almost there. Yes, you're almost
Maybe.
there. Okay. And so today we are going to talk about that. So the first series, we're going to talk about relationships today.
Mhm.
That's going to be the first one. So we have 5 segments for you about how to support you in creating your vision for relationships and why it really matters. Okay. I want to start first with why people sometimes don't vision board. Why do you think that is?
Because it's woo.
It's woo. Serena heard me say that before. You didn't even know what woo is. People think it's just like wishful thinking. They don't think it's real. They don't
Mhm.
think it's backed by science. But if you actually look at it through the lens of neuroscience, you would feel super empowered, right? Because what that means is when we have a goal, when we have an end product, right? All we're doing is that we are supporting these different parts of our brain, which is called the reticular activating system. Have you heard that yet? You're going to hear it. When do you start? I think, oh,
I
you're in,
was chemistry.
but don't you? I thought you were in psychology too.
No,
You're not in
I don't
psychology?
think so. I'm taking that next
You're taking, yeah. So Noah had that. Okay. So the reticular activating system is just systems of the brain, right? And what that does is just allows you, once you have a goal, it allows you to start activating, queuing up certain chemistry in your body to start supporting you. So I'm just going to give an example. I actually said this to Sabrina. There's a car that you like.
a Bronco. It's a baby blue.
It's a baby blue Bronco, right? And I was telling her that we're driving, all of a sudden
Sees it.
she zones in. You zone in. So your reticular activating system can work for your senses, through your ears, through your eyes, right? As you saw. And so you know that one day you said you want a Bronco. So every time you see it, you zone in on it,
Mine.
right? But do you see, that's not mystical. That's not woo, because you already had in mind that you want a Bronco. So all your body is doing is just queuing up all these different resources for you to notice what you like, what you want. And so that's all that is that when we decide something, when we decide on the end goal, we start queuing up dopamine, okay, that's in pursuit of something, serotonin, when we are in gratitude of something, acetylcholine, when we want to focus, epinephrine, when we want to be alert, okay? That's nothing woo about that. And I think that's super empowering. So, why visions are so important is to get to have that vision of that end product of what it is that you get to create. Questions about that? No? Okay, cool. So, it ain't woo, okay? It's not woo. Let's just say vision boards are neuroscience in action, all right? Okay, so the second segment that I want to talk about is what's she peeking at over here?
Science behind vision board.
We passed that already.
Oh, it says segment.
Uh, we don't go by script here, Sabrina. We don't go. We just kind of go. ChatGPT kind of gives us a little bit of structure, but we go with the flow of our conversation, right? So the second segment I want to talk about is the actual pillar that we are going to talk about today, which is
Relationship.
relationships. And why do relationships matter?
Because they're a connection between people and it's something special. Not okay.
What? I don't hear you.
They're something special that people have.
Something special that
Yeah.
people have? Yeah. Because it matters for your health too,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So which is another pillar that we'll talk about. We are biologically wired for connection. We wanna connect, so it impacts our well-being, our sense of happiness, our sense of fulfillment, our sense of play. There's so much in there, love and gratitude. There's so many emotions that we get to experience to its extent with relationships. And so with relationships, they can be broken down too. So when you do your vision boarding for relationships, the intention or the invitation is to look at how you want your relationships to feel for your immediate family, your extended family, for your friendships, for the people at school for you, for the people at work for me, so professional relationships, romantic relationships. Sabrina is not going to have that till she's 21 years old. So your partnerships and like other connections like your coaches, people in the churches like that. So get clear on that and start to create a vision. And so also what I wanted to say here, and this feels really important, is that with a vision, what I had learned in dream building, the life coaching that I had done, and I've never really, at the ripe age of 40, I'd never really thought about that, is that we are creators, right? So as long as our heart continues to beat, as long as our lungs continue to breathe, we will create a life, right? So we either going to create a life by design or a life by default. So we either going to create a relationship that is either going to be by design or relationship by default. And I'm gonna give an example. So, Sabrina, like our relationship, our episode last week was touching on it, that sometimes it can feel like it's tense. Like
Mhm.
there's experiences that we have, all obviously throughout life that we are going to have. Because, last week's episode, we touched on, yes, our relationship and then our relationship that we had had with two recent deaths, one with my father in law, and then also an unexpected death of my brother, right? With these relationships, it's like we don't create a beautiful life, right? We create a series of moments that become days, that become weeks, that become months, that become years, that become a life. And so it's the same thing for this year. So we're going to create a series of moments that are going to create this day. So we get to decide today, like, what is the day that we create? Like, we're creating it right now. And in that sense, do you see how empowering that is? Because all of this is are these moments that get to lead up to this year of how we get to design our relationship to be, right? And this four-part series is to encourage people to get really empowered to queue up this beautiful body of ours to support us in allocating the resources to create exactly the kind of relationships that we want in our life. All right. And so that's segment two. All right. Segment three is setting the vision. How do we set the vision?
Put it on a board.
We put it on a board. Yes,
One way.
yes, definitely one way. Here's what I'd say, and this is how we started yesterday, is we get really clear. So we do a reflection first, right? We do a reflection. So the invitation is let's get really clear on what is the current relationships that you have now, just as I said, within your family, your extended family, within your school, your professional life, any other networks that you have. Just get really clear on it. What feels sticky, what worked, what didn't work, what would be great, right? What would be great. And that's what I actually wanted to say is that yesterday, sometimes even stretching it, like, so 1 year, like 2026, I would say, sometimes might even feel like too big of a stretch. And I offered this exercise just to start priming our thinking is with this prompt that I had learned from another mentor of mine, Sam Skelly. She used this. She says, wouldn't it be great if? Like, wouldn't it be great if? And so maybe you just start with that. So go through a reflection of your current relationships. And then that would be step one. And then this next step would be to start to prime your thinking. Wouldn't it be great if this? I'll just give an example and we'll talk about this because Sabrina and I are going to share. I said, wouldn't it be great if I didn't have to ask Sabrina to empty the dishwasher and also include what's on top of the counter as part of it. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, do you see these dreams don't have to be so big, but that all supports our relationship. So that would be it. So those two
Mhm.
steps, right? And then third step, which would be segment 3, is that yes, put it on a board, put it on Canva, do something like
I
that.
love Canva.
You love Canva. Yeah, I love Canva too. We'll actually put a link in here, an example. I'll definitely put what I have of mine, and you can do yours. That I think would be really cool because it'll hold you accountable for your vision. And that would be to use on your vision board, on your dream board, whatever you want to call it, on your Canva board, words, affirmations, pictures, anything that you want that supports it. What I want to say to Sabrina on this, and I'm actually going to add a segment on here. And so, yesterday, why it is a big important piece of vision boarding, dream boarding is breath work and meditation. Because when I was saying to you why it's so important is because most of us live habitual, right? Most of us live in conditioned way of thinking. You've already learned conditioned ways from being with me, from living with dad and I, and just your friends and like the schools that you have been. Those are all that all contributes to a way that you think and what you believe in. And why practices like meditation, like prayer, like breath work is super important is because it starts to loosen and slow your brain waves in a way that allows you to start beginning to think more spaciously of perhaps things that are just your own and not mine. For instance, that sweatshirt. Do you know what I mean? You
I
know
so
what I mean?
mean
Yeah,
that.
I'm feeling an example is that you don't want to continue doing things that, yes, I want to impact your values. But you are unique. So you get to have your own way of dreaming, your own way of visioning, your own way of wanting your future to be. But sometimes we're just so stuck. We don't know what's authentic or not.
Mhm.
When it says words and images and symbols is sometimes my clients have said to me that they can't see things, when I ask them to visualize. And sometimes it's just because there is that case where people can't. But there's always a feeling. There's always a feeling of, like when I said, the feeling that that car gives you, that Bronco gives you, right?
Mhm.
When the brainwaves are slower, it allows the creativity, allows those images to come through. So practices like meditation, practices like breath work gets us into that relaxed part of our nervous system. So even before you start the reflection piece and you start dreaming and vision boarding again, really set up a space for you that feels really calm, like really sacred, so that you can allow yourself to feel relaxed so that way you are able to authentically choose what you get to create this year in your relationships. And the last one that I wanted to say, the last segment, was this power of repetition, right? And that is that with repetition, when you keep looking at this with consistency over and over again, this vision board that you have is constantly going to evolve. You get to change it. It's like a living, breathing document where you get to change, right? And so you always constantly get to check in with this vision that is changing because, again, it's a feeling. Because it's not, as I like to tell my clients, like what you put on your vision board or your dream board won't be exactly it, but it will create that feeling. And that feeling that you are creating with what you are going to reflect on and decide for, it's something that only you know if it's true or not. And then how I wanted to end today is that we're going to share the two-step process here.
Okay.
We'll share the third step, which would be the Canva link if anybody wants to see how we do our dream board vision board. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
At the front of the one.
Okay. So she's going to share about relationships and she primed her thinking with, right? You primed her thinking of wouldn't it be great if, and then the second step would be it's 1 year from now and you're so happy and grateful now that what you created.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be great if my mom didn't freak out at me when I drive. She freaks me out when I drive. I'm so grateful that I get to drive a car now. So
That's it. That was your 2026. I'm so happy and grateful now.
oh, I thought we were gonna go on and off.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So, well, mine didn't really go with that.
But it's okay.
Okay. So, wouldn't it be great if I didn't have to ask her to walk the dog or pick up poop? Wouldn't it be great if she would also put away the
I
dishes
put
on the
in the
counter?
111.
What?
Like 111.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be great? It would let me explain before you get in trouble. Before you yell at me.
Like,
Like, let me explain my side before I just yell here.
am I going to go now? Wouldn't it be great if her week started with a clean room? Okay.
This sounds like cute one. Wouldn't it be great if we went for a special breakfast once a month before school?
Oh, okay.
See, but now she's gonna hate on me first.
No. Oh, well, this is kind of funny. Wouldn't it be great if she would eat more vegetables and fruit?
Literally eat a banana for breakfast.
Let's just say I commented on it because I'm not used to seeing that. Okay.
Wouldn't it be great? We went on an all-girls trip.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's cute one.
No, that's great. That's great. Okay. So then I'm just going to read what I wrote. It's January 12th, 2026. I'm so happy and grateful now that Sabrina has her driver's license. It has been an easy incentive, motivation to have her walk the dog, clean her room and dishes without asking her because the allowance that she gets paid in full because she does not get paid partially for partial labor has helped her. And it's so great. It's so great that her full allowance allows her also to purchase her Starbucks and Amazon and
Amazon.
Aerie while also saving.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Do you want me to go more?
Yeah, keep
So
going.
I am so happy and grateful that she's got abundant time with her friends and we still hold each other accountable with this show to talk through our relationship and learn things together and also chill out and watch Gilmore Girls. I finally am on season 4. She's
Taken us 2 years.
She's waiting to hear back from college, and I'm hopeful she will get into her number one schools. We visited last fall, right? That would be right, fall. We
Not in 1 year.
in 2026. It's January. We would have toured already. I guess we would
I
toured in
wouldn't
spring.
I wouldn't have applied to colleges yet.
Well, am I jumping to 2027? It's January 2027, you guys. All right. So you get my drift. Okay. I am so happy and grateful now that she feels more comfortable talking to me. Okay. All right. So, Sabrina, in 2 years, we're going to go to Penn State, Notre Dame.
Okay.
Sure. All right. Georgetown, too. I don't know. Okay. Go ahead.
I am now a junior in high school, and I drive my car, and my mom chills, and she's just very chillaxed in the car and listening to Noah Kahan.
Noah Khan. Do I like him? Is he country?
Here's the person we're listening to today.
Okay. So, is you anything else? I think
As far as I got.
that I'm so grateful for this. So, before we end, I want to circle back to the quote. Please, Serena, share that quote.
Chance favors the prepared mind.
Chance favors the prepared mind. And how I really wanted to end, because now I know how Sabrina, like by you sharing, Sabrina, you wanted to do that breakfast like once a
Mhm.
month. What I know about relationships is that sometimes that too is habitual, right? Especially our relationships here that we see each other every day. What's really important and what I've discovered and what I know for myself too is that spontaneity and play is super important in keeping relationships to feel new, not
Mhm.
feeling habitual. And so now that I know that there's a way to queue up resources that is going to support us growing in our relationship that's going to be just really cool and really fun and really playful for 2025. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Right. So next week we are going to have Miss Christiana and Luna, and we are going to talk about school
Yeah.
and about career. And so please join us for that. And please subscribe, rate, review, comment. This helps the visibility of our show. Please send us any questions. There is a girl, Rachel, who has sent us questions. Rachel, if you are watching, I neglected to bring your question, and I apologize for that. We will bring it on to next week's episode. And I think it'd be really cool to have two daughters, two teens answer that question. Okay. So see you all next week.